don't seem to understand. Earth isn't yours to conquer.
Hey guys, it is Tristan with Nerdette's NewsStand, and today we are going to talk about the show everybody should be watching. It's absolutely amazing. One of the best comic book shows I've honestly ever seen. I know I say that a lot, right? But it's really, really good. I definitely suggest it. We're going to talk about the first 3 episodes of Invincible. Now, this is a comic that really started out a little slow and massively took off. It's one of the best Robert Kirkman stories you can read, unless you're a huge Walking Dead fan, then of course it's always that. But this has so much potential to lead into other storylines, to continue. I'm really, really impressed with how this is. So again, Amazon Prime, check it out. But spoilers for sure. We're going to go through each of the 3 episodes. I'll tell you a little bit where it deviates from the comics. I have a couple criticisms, not too much, but there is a few parts that I want to go over that maybe it could have done something a little different here, a little different there. Other than that, I really, really suggest it. It's definitely a 9.5 out of 10 if you're going to use the star rating. Amazing, amazing show. So let's get right into the first episode. I'll probably go over that in a little bit more detail in the second 2, maybe scale back a little bit, but there's a lot of stuff I want to talk about. So I apologize if this maybe gets a little too long, but we open up and we see a slow paced show. Actually, if you know nothing about the comics at first, you might kind of be turned off. We get a man talking about his son and how he's proud of him and how, he's actually a stepson, and he's really into the idea that he's going to make him his son. He didn't ever have a child. He's going to make him his son. Has nothing to do with the actual storyline, even though this does get brought up again, but not even characters in our show. So we have the Mueller Twins show up, and they were introduced right away. They weren't introduced right away in the comics, but they're such great characters. They're always going back and forth. Who's the original clone? Who's the original clone? Kind of a running gag. And I really, really like it. And this is where you're going to meet the Guardians of the Globe. And I want to talk about them specifically because they are purposefully a ripoff of the Justice League, right? They are purposely a ripoff of this whole book. Is purposely a ripoff, but a better version sometimes of these characters. We have War Woman, who is clearly Wonder Woman. She even, at one point in the comics, battles a god of war, just named God. Yeah, it's Ares. It's Ares 100%. And then we have our Flash character, right? Who's, I like the Flash character. I actually feel really bad for him. They do show the side effects of using the Speed Force and making everyone basically throw up, right? And when the Mueller Twins get a little closer, of course, and I'm hoping I can get these pretty decently. We have Darkwing, who is literally Batman right here, right? And I love these characters. I really do. It's a shame what happens to them. And then we meet the Grayson family. Now, this is Mark, obviously made after Dick Grayson, very much so in looks. And obviously the last name. Like I said, you're going to get a lot of references if you haven't read the comics to other comics, right? That was probably my favorite thing about this in its entirety. So we also have, of course, Omni-Man, who is a father, a husband, a superhero. He's everything every man in this universe wants to be, but he only works alongside the Guardians of the Globe, not with them. We meet Grayson here, Mark, right? And he hadn't came into his powers yet. He's doing some school activities. He meets a girl named Amber. He defends her. Erase Ben from the actual comics, which doesn't change anything. There was nothing tied to her about her ethnicity. But he finally comes into his powers. And that's where my first criticism really lies. He really doesn't have a learning curve, right? And that could also be a play from Robert Kirkman on a Mary Sue type character, because Omni-Man is the ultimate Mary stew because he is Superman essentially without having to use the yellow sun. Now, most of these scenes, I'm not even kidding, are literally right out of the comic. And it's the most true to adaptation form I have ever seen. Now, there is some moving around. They don't do the whole bit in the beginning about the teacher being basically stealing the children and making them time bombs. They don't do that, and that's probably smart. Probably not something you want to do in today's society, but we learn about Omni-Man, where he comes from, and he explains to Mark that they are all given sectors which they are supposed to protect. Now, I'm not going to give this entirety away. If you've read the comics, you already know what happens, but I want you guys to keep coming back and listening, so I'm not going to give the end away, but if you know anything about Omni-Man, there's a lot going on with that. So we see Mark come into his powers very easily, very early, right? And he works day after day with his dad, kind of gets punched in the gut by his dad, and he realizes that his dad didn't actually, and overhears, his dad didn't want him to have powers. It makes everything in his life more difficult, and that's pretty selfish. Honestly, it really is, and he wants to prove him wrong, so he's getting bullied, and this is the second time with this bully. Basically, this time, though, he has power, so he kind of freaks him out, right? He keeps saying, punch me, punch me, punch me. Yeah, that would freak someone out. And we get this, and I cannot remember his name off the top of my head. He's basically the version, he's a human rock, right? And he actually, I think his catchphrase was rock on. Well, this is Mark's first time going through this, and he has his very first superhero outfit, and he tries to save the day. He actually gets saved by his father, and he says, I want to prove to you that I can do this. You know, he tells him he overheard him. So we go see Art, and Art is going to design his superhero outfit, and I love it. This is voiced by the same guy that does Mark Hamill. I actually remembered his name. The voice cast in this, with Simmons, with everybody, is fantastic. Like, Sandra Oh does the mother. It is an amazing show. It really is, and the talent is very clearly there. And here, his mother feels kind of left out, right? For a long time, it was Mark and Mom. They were together because Omni-Man was dad, and he was out saving the world. And now her son has powers, and she feels like second string. She's not really, she feels like they're leaving her behind. So he is able to calm her down. And that's when we get the first time we actually, in every single show, the first time they use the name is the first time they show the title card. Comes up with his name, and it's Invincible. Now, this is his outfit. I absolutely loved it. I loved it in the comics. Right here, he's kind of showing off his powers. He's trying to take these guys on. Again, it doesn't work out. This is a scene I absolutely love with, their Flash. He says to his girlfriend, Olga, basically, with everybody that I talk to, the way I see time and perceive time, because I'm so fast, it takes forever, right? I perceive this time in a much different way. But with you, I linger on every word. Oh, so freaking cute. I love it. I love it so much. So we get to see, this is, again, supposed to be R and Diana. They're all getting a call. They're all getting a call to go to basically their watchtower, right? And they're all going to meet up there. And this is where it's going to take a heavy turn. And this is our Martian Manhunter. It's just Martian. it's just Mr. Martian. Like, they didn't even try. That's what's so great about it. They didn't try to hide it. So everybody takes off. They're all going to the watchtower. Now, this is where the story really takes off. Like I said, we're almost at the end of the first episode. Had you just been watching, you'd be like, why is this just a DC ripoff? Nope. Please stay tuned, because it's going to get great. The whole team is there, and we see Omni-Man show up, and he just brutally And I mean, I wish I could play it. I'm afraid that Amazon will take my video down if I do. This scene is the best. If you're not even going to watch the show, just look this scene up for me. It's really, really, it's brutal and gory and wonderful. And you see him twist people's head off. And we've got a war woman here who's trying everything she can to save her life and everyone else's life. And it just, nothing works. He kills every single one of them. Well, if you remember correctly, or if you read the books, you know one of their name is the Immortal. Yeah, because he's immortal. And you actually see them later on basically take and take his head, right? And take his body separately. So that'll come for later on. But this deviates a little bit from the comics because in the books, he actually is so unscathed by killing everybody from the Guardians of the Globe. He goes back home and claims he was never there. Now, in this, he was beaten up so badly he falls over. He's the only one living, though. So they think it was some sort of ambush, and he's taken to a hospital that's very similar to something like S.H.I.E.L.D., right? So we're going to take a look at episode 2 and 3. We're going to see him in the hospital. We're going to see everyone kind of going off that, and we're going to meet these two characters who are going to be the investigation team, right? And his power is pretty much electricity. He can transport from place to place. If I remember correctly, it also said in the books that every single time he used his power, because of the electricity it generated, it cost the taxpayers like $40,000 or something insane like that. It's pretty amazing. And then we get an invasion. And this invasion is not very well timed, considering that these are the Flaxons. They are coming in, and all the heroes just died. Nobody knows yet, but all the heroes just died except for Omni-Man, who's in a coma. So who's going to take over and try to be the hero and prove himself correctly? Yeah, well, it doesn't work out so well. And this is the part where you really see Invincible actually not be that Mary Stu type character, right? He really messes up, and it really jars him. He there's an old lady here, and he takes her to the hospital, and she actually ended up not making it. And it affects him quite badly, even though his dad really doesn't want it to affect him at all. But we're going to make the teen team. Yes, the Teen Titans for the Invincible universe. We have Duplicate. Best, I'm telling you, if your name was Kate and you were a superhero and you had any other name, oh, that is the best superhero name ever. We have Robot, we have Adam, Eve, and we have Explosion, right? And is his name Explosion? I don't remember. One of my least favorite, absolutely my least favorite character, but she doesn't, Adam Eve, she's a great character, my favorite character on the show. But she so much as goes as far to do the whole Clark Kent thing, right? But instead of its glasses, it's just her costume. Nobody recognizes her at school, but it's really convenient that they go to school together. That gets the kind of view from Amber, who the entire time really hasn't been too interested, was appreciative of the lookout for her from the jerk that was trying to hit on her. But once she sees Adam, Eve, and Mark together, that's when she really starts getting interested. And we're going to see a little bit of a love triangle form. We're going to see Adam, Eve take Invincible to the teen layer, and they all get kind of adjusted together, right? And then we have another implosion of these aliens, right? So the first time they came in, they all just started randomly dying. Their time stream is a lot slower than ours, so they literally aged to death within a few minutes on Earth. Well, this is when they figure out what exactly was going on. So in their time stream, it has been years, decades, right? And it's only been 3 days for the teen team and everyone else. And they figure out that if they use this bracelet, it prevents them from dying. And they pretty much do. So this is where it deviates from the comics that I really think was a missed opportunity in the show. Now, this is Alan the alien. He keeps coming around. Obviously, you saw in the last picture I showed that Omni-Man is back home, but he's only been home for a few days. He's still in recovery. His wife says, no, he's not going to get this guy. Get somebody else. So Invincible goes. And in the comics, in the show, they have a conversation, and both they do, right? And he realizes that he is going to Urath, but it's E instead of, or U instead of E for Earth. He's going to the wrong Earth. And his dad has fought this guy plenty of times. Well, there's a conversation that doesn't happen that when Mark goes to his dad and says, look, this guy was just here by mistake. How did you not know that? You fought him so many times. It shows the prime difference between Mark and his father, how they are as heroes or villains or anti-heroes. It's a really important distinction I think they missed out here, but I do love this. It was voiced by Seth Rogen. He did a really great job. So we get a little bit of a backstory. The aliens come back again, and he is everyone's having a hard time. They've taken over the team, and we see the return of Omni-Man, the first time on the scene since his coma. He actually goes through the portal with them and destroys their entire civilization, the entirety of it. He's there for years, but to them, again, it is just a few minutes and he's back home before dinner. So this is the funeral after everybody finds out about the death of the Guardians of the Globe. We have a huge funeral. Everybody's upset. The only thing that they did differently in this is Savage Dragon actually was here in the comics, but in this it's not. And I think that's smart. Keep the universes to itself. And we get our mention of another character who's more of a Hellboy, Constantine-esque character, who is trying to also put together the pieces of what happened that night at the Watchtower, right? So the more people he gets justice for, the more souls, the less he has to be in hell. He doesn't want to be in hell. Nobody can really blame him. So when they go home, actually, Omni-Man is pretty upset with his son for being upset about the deaths. And it's kind of ridiculous, right? He's a teenage boy. He's going to mourn people that he knew, people that his father worked with. So even so, we get a little date with Amber, right? And his best friend, I believe his name's William, comes over and he helps him kind of get things together. And Amber shows up. And I think this is an important scene because he does the whole, okay, you have to pretend like you like the same thing she does. Get Ta-Nehisi Coates, get this, get that. And it ends up that she's doing the same thing, right? She's liking Seance Dog and stuff just to be like him. But what's important about this is he wants to be a hero. He actually has to leave in the middle of this date while she waits because he wants to live the hero life, but also have a normal one. And it shows those differences. And I think that's important. Well, they need a new Guardians of the Globe team. And Robot is put in charge, right? He's basically your Doom Patrol guy, right? He ends up picking pretty much the team. This is the team he picks. But I forget his name. Black Samurai, not Samurai. Ma'am, I don't remember. I'll put it up when I edit, but he thinks he should be in charge. It's a terrible first day. Everyone gets in a fight, but the whole scene is very cool. The way they show everything. So Adam, Eve, and Invincible go after this guy. He's basically a B villain that uses seismic powers, and they end up saving him. It's a really cool scene, though, the way they break it down. Well, come to find out that Adam Eve was dating Explode guy, and he was basically cheating on her with Duplicate. Yeah. Well, all four of them. I don't know if that's a foursome or if that's a twosome. That's just disgusting. So she again wants to go to her friend for some for some comfort and finds them making out again with that love triangle. I love how every single time that this show says Invincible for the very first time, this is what you get every time, and it gets bloodier with every single show. I really, really think they did a good job with that. I think the whole thing was really well done, and just having that in general was really good. This show was fantastic. This show you should absolutely be watching. I'm going to do a breakdown of every single episode as they come out on Fridays, but going through 3 is a little bit harder to get all the details, but fantastic. They even have, I believe, a 30-day free trial. You can try it at least to check it out. This show is everything that adults want in a adult type cartoon, right? And as far as it coming, very similarly to the comics, it did. And even Robert Kirkman was talking to Kevin Smith about this whole thing, right? And he said basically he was 22 when he wrote Invincible. Now he's changed a couple things because he's grown older. He's gotten some better jokes. They do a whole the seismic guy does a whole oh, isn't your outfit a little gender stereotypical? And they make fun of woke culture and they make fun of everything. Every single thing. Black Samson. Oh my gosh. I could not think of his name. Anyways. Let me know, of course, if you guys are watching this, if you're enjoying it. If you happen to have read the comics, let me know what you think of the comparison between the two. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.